The Angel Accelerator came out of the work that I did over at Frontier Incubators in Singapore. That was an accelerator for accelerators. We had like 150 applicants, 150 organizations that help entrepreneurs between Pakistan and Fiji, like every country except the big ones. So not China, not India, not Asian Russia. And we had 18 organizations in person in Singapore for a week to run through an accelerator for accelerators. And the common theme that we got from talking to all of them, plus all of the teachers, was there just aren't enough angels. There aren't enough investors. There isn't enough money flowing to these companies. And that's a challenge. And this is the solution. But the problem is that it's easy to start an accelerator, but it's much easier to start a company. So there are millions of companies that have been started, and a lot of them die in the valley of death. That's literally what it's called. Also the missing middle. It's got a couple other names. But fundamentally, the problem is we got great ideas out there and not enough friends and family money, certainly not enough angels or seed capital. And so the companies just can't make it through to the growth stage. They die in this valley, missing the capital they need in order to make it through. This reality is that there are millions of startups each year. There are only hundreds of thousands of angel investors globally. Not all of them are active in any one year. So tens of thousands of active ones in a year, hundreds of thousands globally in any year. And there are literally, if you don't know it, there's only a few hundred venture capital funds. There are active venture capital funds in the US right now is like 200 or 300 full-scale venture capital funds, not the seed funds. It's a tiny bit. We're not going to talk too much about venture capital today. So if we put that back on this map, what we have is a huge number of startups, a lot fewer angels, and just a handful of VCs. And so the solution is we got to make more angels. Why are there so few angels? I'm going to ask that question. Well, here's how angel investing works today and has been working for decades. So how do you learn how to be an angel? First of all, you got to make a lot of money. So you got to be rich because you have to write $25,000 checks. Then typically what you do is you find an angel group. Couldn't find a map of angel groups, like all the angel groups in the country. There's about 700 of them. There's a lot of these angel groups around. Again, every big city has at least one. I'm here in Seattle. We have 9 at the moment that are running. So what you do is you join an angel group and you sit in the back of the room and you watch what the other people are doing, because when you join the angel group, they don't hand you a handbook. They don't hand you a guide. They might be running some education, but it's ad hoc and occasional. So really what you do is you sit in the back of the room and you observe what's going on. And you hear the jargon being used in the room. And if you listen enough, you figure out what it means. And if you're brave, you might turn to the person on your left and say, what do they mean deal flow? Well, like, what's that word mean? Or what do they mean lead a deal? Like, there's a lot of jargon in this space. And you may join in the due diligence meetings just to learn what that is, right? If you've never done it before. And eventually you get up your nerve as an investor and you write a check. And that first check is really scary because the first check is generally $25,000. And even if you're rich, even if you got a few $1 million in the bank, that's not a tiny little check, right? If you have way too much money, if you have 100 million or $1 billion, you don't be an angel. Most people just skip that and do something else. So you write your first check, nothing happens because these things take forever to return. You observe some more, you do some more due diligence, you hopefully write some more checks. Eventually, maybe if you're 1 in 20 or 1 in 30 of these angels, you eventually get comfortable enough to lead a deal. But along the way, you're basically learning by observation. I call it an ad hoc apprenticeship because it's like an apprenticeship without the master actually teaching you anything.